Welcome to Advanced Hypnotherapy Medical Conditions. This class starts with a brief overview of the history of medical hypnosis. We will look at the role of hypnosis in modern mainstream medicine, explore the mind, body, and spirit connection in the healing process, and examine many of the current scientific theories that explain the power of the mind for optimal health and healing. We will also discuss the placebo effect and its benefits and discuss the mental and emotional causes for pain and illness, including the healing power of forgiveness. The rituals of ancient civilizations have always involved a state of trance, or what we call today hypnosis. Throughout history, trance states have been used by shamans and the ancient peoples within sacred ceremonies. Today, many group rituals, such as mass chanting and meditation to a steady drum beat, also include hypnosis as a primary part of the ceremony. Such trance practices successfully healed various physical and psychological conditions before any treatment was found within allopathic medicine. Rituals often referred to as healing rituals are common in ancient indigenous tribes and in Egypt, Greece, and India. From a Western viewpoint, the decisive moment in the history of hypnosis did not occur until the 18th century. Hypnosis as we know it today was first associated with the work of an Austrian physician named Franz Anton Mesmer. Mesmer proposed the existence of a universal force he called animal magnetism. He suggested that illness is a result or associated with disturbances in the natural tidal flow of animal magnetism within the body, whenever the body's natural flow is out of balance. Mesmer used magnets and other hypnotic techniques to treat people with the belief that he could heal them from this imbalance. Mesmer later abandoned the use of magnets in favor of making slow passes with his hands over the patient's body from head to toe. In Paris, Mesmer set up a group practice in salons where there were several large receptacles called banquets. The banquet consisted of a tub filled with water and iron filings magnetized by Mesmer. From the tub protruded rods that were applied to the patient's body parts, which often had extreme reactions. The reaction from patients caused Mesmer to believe that the natural circulation of animal magnetism within the patient's body was restored and the patient was healed. The medical community was not convinced by such findings. In fact, Mesmer was accused of fraud, his techniques were viewed as unscientific, and he was later discredited by the scientific community in an inquiry. The work of Mesmer, amongst others, is viewed as the last flourish of occult hypnosis and the first flourish of the scientific viewpoint. Mesmer is noted as the first physician to propose a rational basis for the effects of hypnosis. His notion of animal magnetism being transferred from healer to patient through a mysterious etheric fluid is hopelessly wrong and was firmly based upon current scientific ideas at the time. Although magnetism was condemned by the medical establishment, it continued to flourish within research, various studies, and demonstrations. Mesmer was also the first to develop a consistent method for hypnosis, which was further studied and developed by his followers. Eventually, these magical trappings led to Mesmer's downfall. Although hypnosis continued to remain a very ritualistic practice, for many years later, hypnotism was considered a dangerous interest to mainstream career. Mesmer was also the first to develop a consistent method for hypnosis, which was further studied and developed by his followers. Eventually, these magical trappings led to Mesmer's downfall. Although hypnosis continued to remain a very ritualistic practice, for many years later, hypnotism was considered a dangerous interest to any mainstream career. However, one fact about hypnosis remained: it worked. The 19th century is characterized by individuals who seek to further understand hypnosis and apply its effects. Marquis de Castanet de Pasteur, 1751 to 1825, was a French student of Franz Anton Mesmer. and the first to acknowledge the importance of psychological factors in illness. De Pasteur used a technique of placing patients into a relaxed, quiet state of mind that he called artificial somnambulism. Once patients would arrive at this state, he would ask about their general problems and personal concerns about their illness. This technique allowed de Pasteur to discover that his patients had insight into their own cures. After the trance, de Pasteur's patients had no memory of the hypnotic experience. Abe de Faria, 1756 to 1819, is a Portuguese priest who attended and performed the demonstrations of mesmerism. De Faria later wrote a book rejecting mesmerism, called this technique lucid sleep. He was the first person to document individual differences of the trance state. De Faria's trance technique involves sitting his patients in a chair while instructing them to focus all of their attention on the concept of sleep, the cue word to enter into his state. John Elliotson, 1791 to 1868, was a physician and leader in the British mesmeric movement. Elliotson advocated the use of hypnosis in surgery, but later lost his medical position because of his beliefs. James Esdale, 1808 to 1859, was a Scottish surgeon who experimented with mesmerism by using it as an anesthetic for convicts in Bengal. Esdale's method of mesmerism on his patients required several hours of the day for up to 12 days. Critics argued that his patients were simply malnourished. Furthermore, it was believed by critics that Esdale's method of mesmerism left his patients in such a weakened state that they became submissive to any doctor, which explained why Esdale had a high success rate. James Braid, 1795 to 1860, was a Scottish doctor who was the first to use the term hypnotism to describe the trance state. Braid developed a new induction method by gazing on a point above eye level. Braid found that patients could have either a partial or full state of hypnosis using this technique. He believed that hypnosis was a psychological state brought on by suggestion. Jean-Martin Charcot, 1835 to 1893, and Hippolyte Bernheim, 1837 to 1919, were two doctors practicing medicine in the late 1800s. Each noted the similarity of hypnosis to various neurotic symptoms in patients who displayed involuntary catalepsy, anesthesia, amnesia, and other similar conditions. Eventually, a controversy developed between the two doctors. Charcot insisted that hypnosis was an abnormal state of mind found in the mentally ill, while Bernheim demonstrated that the entire range of hypnotic phenomenon could be elicited in 15% of the population. Bernheim simply saw hypnosis as a form of intensified suggestibility. Pierre Janet, 1859 to 1947, was a French psychologist. His theory of hypnosis was based upon the psychological concept of disassociation. Janet believed that hypnosis was a division of consciousness, which eliminates the conscious control of certain behaviors. For a while, the use of hypnosis went into decline. The psychiatrist Sigmund Freud, 1856 to 1939, tried hypnosis and rejected it as an unreliable method for gaining access to the unconscious mind. Critics associated the use of hypnosis with the practice of phrenology and spiritualism. From the 1950s, we see the renaissance of hypnosis. In 1955, the British Medical Association reported favorably on hypnosis as a therapeutic medium. In 1958, the American Medical Association's Council on Mental Health supported the use of medical hypnosis, but the endorsement was withdrawn by the AMA in 1987. However, during this particular time, the AMA rescinded almost all of the policies endorsed from 1891 to 1958. All policies relating to diagnostic and therapeutic modalities were withdrawn, and the only policies retained were concerning internal matters. As a result of that decision, the AMA now has no official position on the use of hypnosis. Today, the use of hypnosis continues to be validated through clinical trials and research. It is an essential tool within any holistic or integrative medical practice. Current proponents include popular medical figures such as Dr. Oz and Dr. Andrew Weil, In fact, Dr. Weil believes that no health condition is out of bounds for trying hypnotherapy under the guidance of a skilled practitioner with whom a trusting relationship has been established. We will talk more about the need for creating a trusting relationship with clients later in the class. Meanwhile, the concept of using the power of the mind for healing was also being explored in the world of spirituality. The New Thought movement is a spiritually focused interpretation of certain beliefs. These beliefs include the ideas that an infinite intelligence, or God, is everywhere, spirit is the totality of real things, divine thought is a force for good, sickness originates in the mind, and right thinking has a healing effect. The father of the New Thought movement, Phineas Parkhurst Quimby, 1802 to 1866, studied with Franz Mesmer. As a native of Portland, Maine, Quimby was a clockmaker with little traditional education, but an inquiring mind. After observing the power of the mind to heal through hypnosis using suggestion and the placebo effect, Quimby began to practice mesmerism. He developed a belief system which included the tenet that illness originated in the mind as a consequence of erroneous beliefs. Quimby believed that a mind open to God's wisdom could overcome any illness. He opened an office in Portland, Maine to assist with healing through the power of the mind in 1859. One of Quimby's students was Mary Baker Eddy, 1821 to 1910, who founded the Christian Science movement. Eddy, however, did not acknowledge any reliance on Quimby for her ideas. Warren F. Evans, 1817 to 1889, was a Methodist and a Swedenborgian minister who published a number of works exploring and systemizing Quimby's ideas, including Mental Cure, Mental Medicine, and Soul and Body. Many of the early teachers and students of New Thought were women practitioners who healed themselves of illness through affirmative prayer and then became leaders in the movement. Another figure considered as a founder of New Thought is Emma Curtis Hopkins, 1849 to 1925. Hopkins is a former student of Mary Baker Eddy. Other prominent practitioners include Myrtle Fillmore, 1845 to 1931, cured of chronic tuberculosis and co-founder of the Unity Church; Melinda Kramer, 1844 to 1906, cured of continual health issues and founder of the Church of Divine Science; and Nona L. Brooks, 1861 to 1945, healed of a persistent throat infection and co-founder of the Church of Divine Science. Another New Thought church, the United Church of Religious Science, was founded by Ernest Holmes in 1927. Holmes grew up in Maine and was known for always asking questions. He never had any dramatic experience, just an inquiring mind that became interested in the matters of the mind, healing, and metaphysics. In the 1970s, Louise Hay became a religious science practitioner. Hay was known for leading people into speaking affirmations. She believed these healing affirmations would cure their illnesses. As a popular workshop leader, Hay ultimately wrote the book, You Can Heal Your Life. The book provides affirmations for various common illnesses and disease. Many scientists, physicians, and holistic practitioners believe there is a mind-body-spirit connection to healing. One of the latest proponents of this line of thinking is Dr. Lisa Rankin, author of Mind Over Matter. In this book, Dr. Rankin describes how our mind and our way of thinking can ultimately impact our health. The book has 5 important points. 1. Each of us have the power to heal our bodies just by changing the way we think and feel. 2. The body is naturally wired to heal itself. 3. We can stay healthy by living authentically. 4. The mind operates a self-healing system. 5. Becoming our own true self is the best medicine for the body. Rankin also writes a great deal about the doctor-patient relationship. She believes doctors facilitate your recovery not so much because of their treatments, but because of the authority the patient ascribes to them. If the doctor appears confident in our healing, we can allow ourselves to heal. Ultimately, the mind has the power to alter the body physiologically through a strong combination of positive beliefs and the nurturing care of the right healthcare providers. This is an important point for hypnotherapists to remember. Have you ever found yourself with sweaty palms on a first date or felt your heart pound during a scary movie? Then you've experienced stress in both your mind and body. This automatic response first developed in our ancient ancestors as a way to protect them from predators and other threats. Faced with danger, the body kicks into gear, flooding it with hormones that elevate heart rate, increase blood pressure, and boost energy. These days, we're not likely to face the risk of being eaten alive by a dinosaur. However, most of us confront multiple challenges daily, such as meeting deadlines, paying bills, juggling health care, in which our body reacts in the same exact way. When such stressors occur, our body's natural alarm system, the fight-or-flight response, can become stuck in the on position, which can have a serious consequence on our health. The most common example of the mind-body connection is seen within the stress state. Modern research on stress has shown that anything influencing our mind also influences our body. The body can express the strain of stress by subtle or chronic symptoms such as irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, headaches, rashes, or hypertension. Even short-lived minor stress can have an impact on our bodies. You might get a stomachache before a presentation, for example. More major acute stress, whether it be caused by a fight with your spouse or an event like an earthquake or terrorist attack, can have an even greater impact. Multiple studies have shown that these sudden emotional stresses, especially anger, can trigger heart attacks, arrhythmias, and even death. Chronic stress also causes wear and tear on your body and can make existing medical conditions worse. You might feel fatigue, unable to concentrate, or irritable for no apparent reason, and the longer the stress lasts, the worse it is on your mind and body. When stress starts to interfere with your ability to live a normal life, it becomes even more dangerous. For example, job strain, high demands coupled with low decision-making latitude, is associated with an increased risk of coronary disease. Chronic stress may also cause disease, either because of changes in the body or the overeating, smoking, and other bad habits people use to cope with stress. These forms of chronic stress can contribute to issues such as depression and low levels of social support, which are associated with an increased cardiovascular risk. Unfortunately, when you become ill and stress becomes an added factor in your life, it will become harder to recover. One analysis of past studies, for instance, suggests that cardiac patients with type D personalities, those characterized by chronic distress, face higher risk of hazardous outcomes. It is important to know that making habits of thinking positive can affect our health in a healing way. In a study about stress and thinking patterns, about half the participants saw improvements in chronic headaches after learning how to stop the stress-producing habit of catastrophizing or constantly thinking negative thoughts about their pain. Hypnosis plays various roles in medicine. In one study, researchers examined the association between the positive effect, feelings like happiness, joy, contentment, and enthusiasm, and the development of coronary heart disease over a decade. The findings show that for every 1-point increase in the positive effect on a 5-point scale, the rate of heart disease dropped by 22%. We can use the same mind-body connection to bring about any healing response. Hypnosis, guided imagery, and visualization can bring about the power of the mind for healing by changing the way we think and even by activating various bodily processes. Hypnosis is currently used in a variety of settings ranging from emergency rooms to dental offices and outpatient clinics. Clinical studies on children in emergency treatment centers show that hypnotherapy reduces fear, anxiety, and discomfort. Other studies suggest that hypnosis may improve immune functioning, increase relaxation, decrease stress, and ease pain, including feelings of anxiety. Hypnotherapy can reduce the fear and anxiety that people feel before medical or dental procedures. For examples, studies show that dental patients who have experienced hypnosis had a significantly higher threshold for pain than those who were not hypnotized. Hypnosis may also improve recovery time and reduce anxiety and pain following surgery. Clinical trials on patients who are burned suggest that hypnosis decreases pain enough to replace pain medication and speeds up the healing process. Several studies also report that the use of hypnosis may reduce the need for medication, improve mental and physical conditions before an operation, and reduce the time it takes to recover. In addition, dentists also use hypnotherapy to control gagging and bleeding. Hypnotherapy can be used to help manage chronic illnesses. Thus, a hypnotherapist can empower patients by teaching self-regulation skills. For instance, someone with arthritis may learn to turn down pain like the volume on a radio. Self-hypnosis can enhance a sense of control, which is often lacking when someone has a chronic illness. Did you know that hypnotherapy has been proven to effectively treat a wide range of medical issues including migraine and tension headaches, lowering blood pressure, reducing asthma, minimizing hot flashes, diminishing side effects of chemotherapy, insomnia, nausea, fibromyalgia, IBS, heart disease, and heart symptoms? If the mind affects the body, just how does it do so? Scientific research shows theories and ideas how this might occur. Such proven theories and ideas help to reassure clients of the benefits and validity of hypnosis as a complement to their current medical treatment. Some theories today speculate how the mind impacts the body to create stress and disease. In this class, we will look briefly at several popular books on this topic. The books are reader-friendly and can be recommended to your clients as homework or further research. Your assignment this week will be to explore one or more of these theories from the following books: Molecules of Emotion by Candace Pert, Healing Mind by Paul Martin, Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton, The Heart's Code by Paul Purcell, Vibrational Medical Model by Richard Gerber, Counterclockwise by Ellen Langer. Candace Pert was a brilliant molecular biologist who was a primary figure in the discovery of the endorphin molecule, the body's natural form of morphine. She is now widely regarded as the mother of a new field of science known as psychoneuroimmunology. Pert's research into brain biochemistry at the National Institute of Mental Health contributed to a radically new understanding of mind and body. In the 17th century, the philosopher René Descartes split mind and body into two spheres, with the body belonging to science and the mind left to metaphysics. As a result, Pert and her peers developed a deeper pursuit for looking deeply into the molecular level of life. In her book, Molecules of Emotion, Pert offers a clear account of her research on the frontier of a new kind of science. She also writes as an insider caught up in the politics of science. Pert offers a rare glimpse of the ruthless competition for prizes and money, which makes the pursuit of truth unclear. Thus, she steps outside of the traditional box of scientific theories and applies new facts of psychoneuroimmunology to everyday life, discussing everything from drugs and disease to dreams and the molecular biology of hugs. Pert's book, The Molecules of Emotion, provides an explanation of her research on peptides. She discovered that peptides are a short chain of proteins that work to connect all aspects of the body and mind through a network of shared information. Pert explains, for decades, most people thought of the brain and its extensions, the central nervous system, as an electrical communication system, resembling a telephone system with trillions of miles of intricately crisscrossing wires. New research strategies for studying peptides and receptors show that only 2% of these communications are electrical across a nerve synapse. In fact, she writes, the brain is a bag of hormones. These hormones affect not only the brain, but every aspect of the body and mind. Many memories are stored throughout the body as changes occur in the cellular structure. The body, Pert concludes, is the unconscious mind. The central theme of Pert's book is that the peptides which flood the body are indeed molecules of emotion. Outside of the traditional confines of science, medicine, and emotions, which are largely ignored, Pert believes that these molecules of emotion are actually the key to understanding psychoneuroimmunology's emerging picture of how the body and mind affect each other. For an example, an emotion-modulating peptide uses an embarrassing thought to cause blood vessels to dilate and turn the face beet red. In the same way, molecules of emotion can mobilize immune cells to destroy a tumor in its early stage. Techniques like meditation or visualization may also act as forces to set such molecules in action. Pert believed that biochemicals of emotion are messengers. These messengers are responsible for carrying information that links major systems of the body into one unit referred to as body-mind. Psychological factors of conscious intervention can directly affect the cellular functions in the immune system. Pert expressed her stand on the findings that honestly felt emotions are truly healthy emotions. When you express your emotions and then let them go, healing can occur. Thomas Wolfe wrote, "Most of the time we think we're sick, it's all in the mind." In The Healing Mind, Dr. Paul Martin, a renowned professor of behavioral biology, asserts that Wolfe's words are closer to the truth than we imagine. There is scientific evidence that the brain and the immune system are inextricably linked. Dr. Martin illustrates with remarkable clarity that biological and psychological links do indeed exist between the mind and body. These links have been constructed by evolution over the millennia. Links that are frayed or severed are the root cause of more problems than you may imagine. Based upon the latest biological and medical findings, The Healing Mind explains how we can reconcile many commonplace notions about psychosomatic illnesses and stress. The book shows a scientific understanding of how the mind and body affect each other from a more modern view. Martin explains, the mind affects the body and hence physical health. Conversely, physical health affects the mind and our thoughts, emotions, and behavior. Disease and death seldom have single causes. The mind can help to precipitate illness or death, but this does not mean that bacteria, viruses, cancer, clogged arteries, or other conditions are not involved. Martin's focus is largely upon the newly developing field of psychoneuroimmunology, including the ways in which psychology and neurobiology come together to influence the functioning of the immune system. The mind impinges on physical health through our behavior and our body chemistry. Psychological and emotional factors can lead us to behave in unhealthy or self-destructive ways, which increase the risk of disease, injury, or death. Our mental state can alter our susceptibility to disease by influencing the body's biological defense mechanisms, most notably the immune system. There is growing research evidence that the minor stresses and hassles of daily life can exert a variety of adverse effects on immune function in healthy individuals. Possible mechanisms through our mental state of being can affect the onset and course of maladies as cancer, heart disease, AIDS, and bacterial infections. The role of both positive and negative emotion plays a significant part in regulating the immune system. With more than 100,000 copies sold of his self-published book, The Biology of Belief, Bruce Lipton teamed up with Hay House to bring his message to an even wider audience. Through the research of Dr. Lipton and other leading-edge scientists, new discoveries have been made about the interaction between the mind and body and the processes by which cells receive information. Lipton shows that genes and DNA do not control our biology. Rather, DNA is controlled by signals from outside of the cell, including the energetic messages emanating from our thoughts. He demonstrates how the new science of epigenetics is revolutionizing our understanding of the link between mind and matter and the profound effects it has on our personal lives and the collective life of our species. Lipton describes the benefits and differences between traditional allopathic medicine, complementary medicine, and spirituality in this way. Recognize that each one of these healing modalities, allopathic, complementary, and spiritual, is based on their perceived philosophy of how life works. Allopathic is Newtonian physics. The philosophy of the allopathic community is that life is the consequence of a Newtonian-based machine. So, when this community looks at the body, it is viewed as matter, that's all. When you understand the body's physical pieces, you will understand why life works, how it works, and the fact that you can take physical parts called drugs to fix it. The whole premise of this notion is that life is a physical machine, and in that vision, energy is not relevant to the function of the machine. In contrast, complementary medicine is based upon a philosophy that recognizes the controlling influence of energy that flows through the system, specifically through the chakras and the meridians. This system is referred to as an energy-based system, which is not the same as the Newtonian material-based living system. Complementary healing integrates quantum and Newtonian characters to describe life. Complementary medicine emphasizes that in order to understand how the body works, you must really understand the dynamics and influences of the energy that flows through its system. However, the complementary modality focuses a bit more upon the combination of the body's physical and energetic components. The basis for spiritual healers is that energy, spirit, an invisible force, runs the body, quantum mechanics. Remember that physics and quantum mechanics are the same thing. Physics is actually defined as mechanics. So when we talk about physics, we're actually talking about the mechanisms of how things work. Lipton continues to distinguish between these three types of healing by stating, in our world, things that are large in size, like cells, tissues, organs, and bigger, can to some degree be understood by using the physical laws of Newton. But when you get down to the level of atoms and molecules that make up the cells, you're dealing with the quantum realm. Allopathic medicine focuses upon the larger physical realm in trying to understand how the body works. With Newtonian blinders on, all they consider are physical interactions. They perceive of the body as a molecular machine, and when it's not working, that implies some physical components of the body must be malfunctioning. Their vision of disease is, if the physical body is not working right, then throw in new molecules to adjust the function. And those molecular fixes are called drugs. So they attempt to heal that mechanistic point of view. However, disease can manifest itself at different levels within the organism. If the problems arise from trauma damage to the physical body, allopathic medicine offers miraculous healing opportunities. If I break a bone, need a new heart, or get torn up in a car accident, you can bet that I would seek an allopathic physician to help me heal. They can rebuild tissues, and they can rebuild organs and transplant organs and fix bones and all these things. That's trauma. They do miracles with trauma, and that's where if you get in an accident and break your leg, you want a medical doctor. However, if my diseases are the result of malfunctions occurring within the cell, such as cancer, Alzheimer's, autoimmune disease, these dysfunctions arise in the operation of the cell's molecules and atoms. Dysfunctions at these levels are controlled by mechanisms that operate in the energy-based interactions of the quantum realm. For example, cancer is a dysfunction that starts within a cell. It didn't get hit with a baseball bat or anything like trauma. It started as a molecular process that went awry. Diabetes is due to a malfunction of the molecules of the cell. Diseases arising from the level of cellular molecules cannot be understood employing Newtonian principles. At this level of organization, we start to enter the realm of energy influences. Molecules are influenced by energy fields, not by baseball bats. For illnesses originating at this level of the body, traditional allopathic medicine is pretty much lost, for they're still pursuing mechanical defects in the genes and biochemistry. New research fully recognizes that quantum mechanical principles, that is energy, control behavior within the cell's molecular architecture. Energy fields, like electromagnetic waves and prayer, profoundly influence the structure and function of molecules and the health of cells. Research has shown that everybody's mind is broadcasting invisible energy fields that can be read outside of our skulls. What's relevant is that your regulatory energy frequencies are not contained within your body. You're like a tuning fork walking down the street, vibrating thought frequencies into the field around you. If you get enough people to vibrate in harmony, then the power of their collective frequencies reach a level that is powerful enough to move things. According to Dr. Paul Purcell, a clinical psychologist, the heart is more than a pump and more than the most powerful muscle in the human body. Using research from many fields, interviews with transplant patients, and his own experience as a cancer and bone marrow transplant survivor, Purcell contends that the heart thinks, feels, remembers, and communicates with the hearts of others. Ask yourself, Are you a head or heart person? The future of civilization may depend on the answer. Dr. Purcell sees the heart as the source of that mysterious fifth force of energy in the universe, a non-local, invisible form of info-energy that the brain finds very difficult to accept. The Heart's Code builds a bridge between the biochemical wonders of modern medicine, the spirituality of ancient traditional healing systems, the various alternative or complementary medicines, and the wisdom of religious scholars and spiritual leaders. Dr. Purcell's speculations open the door for us to consider the importance of cellular memory, loving connections, prayer, laughter, and healing. In his book, The Heart's Code, Purcell believes that the heart has its own intelligence and that it actually communicates with every other heart. This is a literal communication that occurs electromagnetically. All of our hearts at this very moment are communicating. Our hearts are interacting together through electromagnetic pulses. We're sitting and immersed within one another's expanding heart bubbles. Listen to this. Think about this. Picture this. Give energy to this, and you will see what kind of impact you have all of the time. Every single beat of your heart sends out an electromagnetic 360-degree spherical bubble at the speed of light, an electromagnetic pulse of 186,300 miles per second. This means instantly nearly every single spherical bubble pulsates around and through the entire planet from every other living being upon it. You are immersed in each other's heartbeats. When you begin to talk to your own heart, you will know how to talk to others, sometimes without saying a word with your mouth or your brain. Purcell would also say that each individual has been experiencing a war between the collective brains, hearts, and bodies. Allow this flow to operate freely by providing them with space to use their own unique communication and function as a triad working together harmoniously. The balancing of the heart, body, and mind is a matter of allowing each component space to do its job. In this sense, the mind relates to the heart by doing the tasks that are specifically within its domain. The talent of the mind takes the heart's energy and applies it in ways that allow us to have thoughts. These thoughts must be in agreement and in harmony with the heart's knowingness and the body's sensing, otherwise there occurs an imbalanced flow. For example, the heart can feel something that the mind will think is not in its best interest. The mind has the power to accept the information as love coming from the heart and then fall into place properly. Consider this analogy. The body represents the colors of your visible spectrum of light. The brain is black and white. The heart is a combination of every color. The body, mind, and heart each has its own way of receiving information. The body senses vibration, resonance. The body actually receives information through the process of sensing, while the brain gets its information by thinking and processing. The heart gets its information by knowing and feeling. All of these processes contain resonance and vibration and expresses them differently. The heart can assist with the healing of the body. Purcell believed there is intelligence, memory, energy, and communication that comes from the heart and the brain. By getting in touch with the intelligence of the heart and knowing how to listen with and speak from it, we can hear the heart's dialogue. So listen to your heart and know what your heart tells you. When you believe in your heart, you are whole. Your body will also be whole. Purcell asked the heart several questions about healing. The answers are important for practitioners to remember. What is healing? The heart describes healing as the process of becoming whole by reconnecting and recovering molecular memories that promote healing and being alert of risk to our well-being, which results from an imbalance within the flow of the energy of all systems surrounding us. Why heal? The heart answers, we heal in order to be whole with the systems around us and to be able to care for, heal, and protect those systems, which includes people, plants, animals, and places. Who needs healing? The heart expresses, everyone and everything needs healing all of the time because healing is the process of keeping a healthy connection flowing within all systems. Where do we heal? The heart desires an energy-friendly place that allows us to connect more intensely with the natural aspects of our loving. The heart also desires for us to be immersed in the energy emanating from the plants, animals, and loving people around us. We're an integral part of this energy. By whom are we healed? The heart expresses that we are not healed by, but with. We are healed with the presence of healing hearts around us. How do we know when we are healed? The heart relays whether or not we are cured. We are healed when we feel who we are, when others say they feel more connected with us, and when something within our heart makes us feel re-enchanted and energetically reconnected with the world. Richard Gerber, MD, is the author of Vibrational Medicine, New Choices for Healing Ourselves, a publication that has been reviewed as a landmark and encyclopedic. This publication from the year of 1988 bridges the gap between science and esoteric healing in many ways. Vibrational medicine cites hundreds of scientific studies that support the energy model for health and healing and presents a theoretical foundation for therapies such as homeopathy and acupuncture. Vibrational medicine presents a diagnostic and healing approach for illness using energy in various forms and frequencies. As a therapy, vibrational medicine is the application of different types of energies for healing, including X-rays and radiation therapy for cancer, the use of electrical nerve stimulation for treating pain, and electromagnetic field stimulators for accelerating the healing of fractured bones. Full-spectrum light is also used for treating seasonal, affective disorders often called the winter blues. Vibrational medicine covers more subtle forms of treatment such as acupuncture, homeopathy, flower essences, therapeutic touch, Reiki, etc. The vibrational approach, especially the subtle energy medicine approach, works by injecting selective frequencies of energy into the body that encourages the body's own self-healing systems to do the work. Some of the most elegant approaches towards the future healing of cancer and AIDS may involve the use of selective frequencies in energy medicine or the use of electromagnetic fields. The potential for non-invasive energy medicine to benefit consumers at a much lower cost is phenomenal. However, because the drug industry is so entrenched within the U.S. medical system, monies for research, when granted, is very much biased, favorable towards the pharmacologic approach. Molecular biology is a new buzzword and unfortunately may not be rewarded the deserved amount of research funds. Vibrational medicine has the potential to scan the body not only for illness but also for a disposition toward illness. We might think of that as a pre-physical energetic disturbance that will lead to illness. There are a variety of diagnostic systems that are evolving. One diagnostic system involves assessing the acupuncture meridian system. If we can detect disturbances in the etheric body before physical disease develops, then we have the basis for a new level of preventative medicine that we've never seen before. The treatment may include homeopathic remedies, flower essences, acupuncture, or may involve a combination of these modalities. In addition to working with nutritional modifications, lifestyle changes, attitudinal and emotional changes. Gerber does not think we should look at vibrational medicine as an individual modality which targets specific illnesses in the same manner that allopathic medicine has evolved to, the right drug for the right bug. Rather, he believes that if we are going to be truly holistic, we have to look at the whole person and design therapies that encompass the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual dimensions of illness. If we could turn back the clock psychologically, could we also turn it back physically? For more than 30 years, award-winning social psychologist Ellen Langer has studied this provocative question and came up with a conclusive answer. Simply opening our minds to what is possible instead of clinging to accepted notions for what is not leads to better health at any age. In her book, Counterclockwise, Langer draws upon her own body of colorful experiments, including a detailed discussion of her 1979 landmark Counterclockwise study. This study reports that elderly men lived for a week as though it was 1959 and seemed to grow younger by all scientific markers. Langer proves that the magic of this concept comes from our awareness of the way we mindlessly react to cultural cues. For example, when our culture holds the notion that aging occurs at a certain age and in a certain way, then we too proceed to take on that notion. Counterclockwise shows how we can actively challenge these ingrained behaviors by making subtle changes in our everyday lives. Langer described ways to reorient our attitudes and use our language in order to achieve better health. She shows us the ways in which our beliefs of physical limitations constrain us. Langer also demonstrates how our desire for certainty in medical diagnosis and treatment often prevents us from fully exploiting the power of uncertainty. Langer uses the concept of mindfulness to show how our unknown thoughts and beliefs impact our health and speeds up the aging process. Mindfulness increases our health. Langer also challenges us to give up the idea of the terms health or sickness. She asks what the possibilities would be if we were to replace this idea with the belief that health occurs on a continuum or within multiple dimensions. Health is not a black and white situation. It simply moves along a scale that is unique for each one of us. Nothing is stable. Variability occurs in everything, including our body. Langer writes about the careful use of language in our words and thoughts. This is a concept of particular importance to hypnotherapists. Langer suggests being careful of the words we speak regarding any illness. For example, using the word remission suggests something very different from the word cure. Watch the metaphor of fighting a disease. The idea of battling and fighting illness only bolsters the power we feel it has over our health. We may be better off using another metaphor that promotes mastering our condition. Langer encourages us to consider all illness as psychosomatic. Be mindful that doctors have a limited amount of knowledge and medical test results and data are not absolute truths. Langer contends that society is associated with subliminal messages that promote concepts about aging and illness. For example, we're told what we can accomplish at particular ages. Thus, our body conforms to what we believe. When we believe this concept of society, our body responds accordingly. Negative expectations about aging can also interact with the expectations of others, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. Mindful health, in contrast, is about the need to free ourselves from constricting mindset and the limits they place on our health and well-being. We can develop a habit to appreciate the importance of becoming the guardians of our own health. Because we do not know what we can do or become, we can simply search for the answer for how to improve in any moment. This is the psychology of possibility. Let's discuss how the power of the mind directly impacts health. What is a placebo? The placebo effect refers to the occurrence of people experiencing some type of health benefit after the administration of a placebo. A placebo is a substance with no known medical effects, such as sterile water, saline solution, or a sugar pill. In short, a placebo is a phony treatment that in some cases produce a very real physical response. The expectations of the patient plays a vital role in the placebo effect. The more a person expects the treatment to work, the more likely they are to exhibit a placebo response. Common tests in medical research require that some participants be administered a placebo while others receive an actual treatment. This strategy helps to determine whether or not the treatment has an actual effect. If the participants who take the actual drug demonstrate a significant improvement over those taking the placebo, the study proves the claim of the drug's effectiveness. For example, let's imagine that a participant has volunteered for a study to determine the effectiveness of a new drug for headaches. After taking the drug, the participant finds that their headache quickly dissipates and they feel much better. The participant later learns that they were part of the placebo group and the drug given was just a sugar pill. Why do some individuals experience changes even when receiving a placebo? One possible explanation is that simply accepting treatment, taking the placebo thinking it is the actual treatment, triggers a release of natural endorphins. Endorphins have a structure similar to morphine and other opiate painkillers and act as the brain's own natural painkillers. Researchers have been able to demonstrate the placebo effect by using brain scans. In one study, participants had a hot, painful piece of metal placed on their hand and then received either a pain-killing drug or a placebo injection. In both cases, the subject reported that the injection helped reduce the pain. The researchers used positron emission tomography, PET scans, to look at each person's brain and found that areas of the anterior cingulate cortex, the area of the brain that contains many opiate receptors, were activated in both the placebo and treatment groups. Other possible explanations include conditioning, motivation, and expectation. In some cases, a placebo can be paired with an actual treatment until it actually comes to evoke the desired effect, which is an example of classical conditioning. People who are highly motivated to believe that a treatment will work may be more likely to experience a placebo effect. Conversely, individuals can experience negative symptoms as a response to a placebo. A response is sometimes referred to as the nocebo effect. For example, a patient might report having headaches, nausea, or dizziness in response to a placebo. As we learn more about the connection of the brain and healing, the placebo effect becomes more important. Dr. Lisa Rankin states in her book, Mind Over Matter, that all treatments work as a placebo, for the brain has the power to alter the body through a potent combination of positive belief and the nurturing care of the right healthcare provider. This includes any type of treatment from medicine and radiation to alternative treatments such as hypnosis. As hypnotherapists, we understand the importance of our clients' belief and expectancy. The placebo effect may be the key to all healing. The placebo effect is real. It is reported to work about 18 to 80% of the time. The placebo effect is not just a thought within the mind. It actually dilates bronchi, heals ulcers, makes warts disappear, drops blood pressure, and even grows hair. The placebo effect is also known to help many conditions, such as depression, arthritis, angina, and various skin conditions. The most common placebo is the sugar pill. Studies report that patients who were given a placebo test also showed a decrease in pain 30% of the time. During wisdom teeth extraction, for example, 30% of the patients improved with a simple mock ultrasound. The placebo effect also has a shadow side. The same mind-body power that can heal you can also harm you. Interestingly, placebo complaints are not random. They simply tend to arise in response to the side effect warnings on the actual drug label. The mere suggestion that a patient may experience negative symptoms in response to a medication or a sugar pill may be a self-fulfilling prophecy. For example, if a patient treated with a placebo is told they might experience nausea, the patient is likely to feel nauseous. If it is suggested that the patient might suffer from a headache will occur based upon the patient's belief. Patients who accepted the saline was a treatment for chemotherapy actually threw up and lost their hair. These patients had no idea that the chemotherapy treatment was only a dose of harmless saline. Another example is how patients participating in a double-blinded clinical trial are forewarned about a proposed side effect. When given the drug, approximately 25% of patients experienced severe side effects, when the drug was really just a harmless sugar pill. In a study, patients who were convinced of their impending death as a result of surgery were compared to another group of patients who were merely unusually apprehensive about death. While the apprehensive group fared pretty well, those who were convinced they were going to die usually did. The placebo effect is probably most obvious in a voodoo death. A voodoo death is when a person is cursed, told they will die, and then dies. The notion of a voodoo death does not just apply to witch doctors in tribal cultures. Literature actually shows that patients who believe they are terminal and are mistakenly informed that they only have a few months to live have died within their given time frame. In some cases, autopsy findings reveal no physiological explanation of the early death. Dr. Lisa Rankin expresses that every time your doctor provides you with a negative report or a report of doom, they're actually cursing you. The doctor is not deliberately trying to harm you and may not be knowledgeable of the state they are cursing you to. They know not what they do. Doctors believe that the information they are providing is truth. The doctor may or may not know that they are instilling within the conscious and subconscious mind of the patient the belief that they will not heal. Unfortunately, as long as the mind holds this negative belief, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Doctors may mean well when they forewarn patients with information such as they have an incurable illness, they will be on medication for the rest of their life, or that they have a 5% chance for a 5-year survival rate. These are common forms of medical hexing. Remember, if you believe you will never recover, then you will more than likely won't. So, what is a patient who has a headache, is suffering from chronic fatigue, or battling a recurring stress-related skin disorder really trying to tell us? Is there an emotional component to the illness? Are there any reports of common stories from clients having similar conditions? Caroline Myss, author of Anatomy of the Spirit, claims that our history is our biology. Many who work in the holistic field would agree. For example, Louise Hay, the author of You Can Heal Your Life, believes that our thoughts create our experiences. She has written a list of affirmations for many common medical conditions. These affirmations address the underlying emotions behind dis-ease. By working with affirmations, Hay healed herself of cancer and began working with many others regarding their power to heal their own illness. Deb Shapiro, author of our textbook, Your Body Speaks Your Mind, writes that the role of mind and emotions within our state of health is a vital one. Shapiro states, "You are in charge of your own attitudes and feelings about the way you treat yourself and in your world, but you cannot determine the outcome of every circumstance. You do not create your own reality so much as you're responsible to your reality." This is an important point for many who follow the New Age principle of causing your own illness because of negative thinking. Shapiro believes that our body, through illness, gives us the message that the body's flow is imbalanced. An example is when pain occurs. Shapiro views pain as a message speaking to the entire body. In other words, our unconsciousness is speaking loud and clear, notifying us that a feeling or an issue is being repressed or resisted and is creating tension within the body. Mental attitude and emotional tension affect the energy flowing through the musculature, which easily causes pain or limits movement. Muscle pain tends to indicate psychological pains of anger, fear, insecurity, guilt, or even self-punishment expressed throughout the body. Muscle pain also tends to signify an aching or longing for something or someone, a deep desire for movement or change, and can also act as a great distraction resulting from dealing with deeper emotional pain. We will continue to look at the emotional component of illness throughout the class. As hypnotherapists, we should remember that 1. There's an emotional component to illness, 2. Continuing stress can create illness and make conditions worse, and 3. While this information is helpful to us as practitioners, our role is to be compassionate rather than judgmental. Clients may not be able to see the overall emotional connection, and when working with the subconscious mind, it is not necessary for clients to understand completely what is occurring. Likewise, as practitioners, we do not need to know what happened within the emotional connection because the deepest level of the subconscious mind knows exactly what is needed. As much as possible, our requirement as practitioners is to focus upon assisting our clients in the process of accepting that which is so that they may heal. The bottom line is to expect change as an inevitable outcome. Keep in mind the results of the positive effect and include the client's efforts to discover what is right within their lives. Understand that no matter what you do, you'll influence each patient. Make it a point to ensure that the influence is beneficial. In Egyptian mythology, there's a story that says when a person dies, the soul travels to a different dimension to undergo a life review. In that timeless, spaceless realm, the god Anubis places the person's astral heart on a scale to weigh it against the feather of truth. If the heart is lighter than the feather, then the soul is liberated for eternity. If the heart is heavier than the feather because it is filled with regrets, resentment, and remorse, then the soul is sent back for another lifetime of learning and evolution. Deepak Chopra expresses this story regarding the role of our emotions in healing. This ancient myth offers a powerful message to lighten up, to let go of the emotional burdens that weigh us down, disturb our peace, and make it difficult to be fully present. When we hold on to grievances, shame, anger, or pain from the past, our entire body and mind suffers. Our body produces excessive amounts of hormones such as adrenaline and cortisol and can compromise our immune system and contribute to cardiovascular disease over time. Hostility is an inflammatory emotion, and as researchers have found, the number one emotional risk factor for premature death from heart attacks and strokes. Hostility is also linked to autoimmune disorders. It's not a coincidence that we speak of people dying from a broken heart, or describe a betrayal as a stab in the back, or say that a deep loss was gut-wrenching. For many of us, one of the biggest emotional burdens we carry is a lack of forgiveness for others and for ourselves. As we've known for more than 3 decades, the body and the mind are inextricably connected. Fortunately, the body-mind is incredibly flexible, and when we let go of the emotional toxicity, our body immediately begins to return to homeostasis, which is a state of self-healing and self-regulation. On an emotional level, the benefits of forgiving and releasing the burden of judgment are valuable beyond compare. In forgiving, we free ourselves from attachments to the past, and we clear encumbrances that constrict our heart, expanding our ability to love and to be loved. Deborah King, the author of Truth Heals believes that the memories of the painful events may be forgotten by the conscious mind, but the body never forgets because it stores those memories. To heal, it isn't necessary to remember all horrific details that you may have suppressed. People only need to get in touch with the truth. Becoming aware is the first step in knowing the truth. Healing is a process. To balance the body and mind, we must pay attention to the body's messages and access our beliefs and let go of what no longer serves us. The key to healing is found in truth, forgiveness, and acceptance. King asked, how would our lives change if we really decided to tell the truth? Norman Cousins states in his book, Anatomy of an Illness, studies show that up to 90% of patients who reach out for medical help are suffering from self-limiting disorders well within the range of the body's own healing powers. As hypnotherapists, we can help our clients tap into their body's own healing powers. This is a powerful reminder in regards to the value of our work.